In the last lesson, we learned how to create props that were well documented and helped to prevent common bugs. However, as we look at our image prop, you might have noticed that it's a little lacking. Let's take a closer look. While the image prop has a data type of string and a default content, it's still prone to bugs, as we can see here in our app.vue. Normally, what we would expect is to see 3 different movie posters rendering the image. While we expect our movie posters to render properly, in case you didn't notice, we have some bugs in our image paths. And at this time, there's no way to check for that. Due to our bug, instead of a beautiful movie poster image, we're going to get the sad, broken file instead. So the question ends up becoming, how can we provide better safeguards so we avoid seeing these kind of bugs on production? For our movie poster, let's assume the following requirements. 1. That images will always live in the images directory, and that images can only be of PNG or JPEG format. To accomplish this, let's just focus on our movie poster component. While you might be tempted to use something like computed properties to help solve this problem, props already has a built-in technique that many people don't know about: prop validators. Let's take a closer look. Prop validators can be broken up into simple parts. The first part is the validator key that informs Vue that this prop will have custom validation. This property takes an anonymous function that receives the value of the prop as the first argument. The final piece of a validator function is to return a Boolean value based on your desired logic. So for this example, this prop simply checks the length of the string to make sure that it's greater than 0. Now that we know how validators work, let's go ahead and implement these requirements. Our first requirement is to ensure that all images live in the images directory. To do that, let's go ahead and clear out our boilerplate code. We'll then check whether the images directory exists within our prop value using the JavaScript method indexOf, which will return its position within the prop value. If it doesn't exist, it will return -1, which will make this rule false. Now that we've declared the rule, all we need to do is return our rule check. And with that, our first requirement is already complete. Next, let's go ahead and check whether or not the images are PNGs or JPEGs. To do this, we'll create a constant called isPNG, and we'll check whether the prop value ends with the .png extension. This method is preferred over the indexOf method because it will actually ensure that our extension exists at the end of the string rather than just exists anywhere within the string. Next, we'll create another constant called isJPEG, and this time we'll need to check 2 different extensions since JPEGs can be spelled either JPEG or JPG. And finally, just to make our rules easy to read, we'll create a constant hasValidExtension. We'll make that a Boolean based on whether isPNG is true or isJPEG is true. And to wrap it up, we'll go ahead and tag that onto our hasImages directory with our AND operator. And with that, our images can only be PNGs or JPEGs. As we saw in our movie poster component, custom prop validators can be extremely useful in providing additional guidance when we need to go beyond the standard prop definition and validation. Equipped with this new technique, you are now empowered to create even better messaging for how your component props should be used in your application. See you in the next lesson.